Hey, good morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending where you're joining us from. Thank you so much for joining our webinar. We're going to let everyone kind of get trickled in here and get started. Perfect. Super excited to kind of kick things off. Just as a brief introduction, my name is Josh. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at Clientbook. With me today, we have our VP Product Extraordinaire, Todd. I'm pretty excited about this. We're kicking off this year, we want to talk about all things product related, what we did in 2024, what we're planning on doing, and kind of what's going on here, and with the release that just happened yesterday. So I'm sure you have a lot of burning questions. So with that said, if you have any questions, down below at the bottom, there's a Q&A section. We're going to have built-in Q&A portions of this webinar, but please, we want this to be interactive. We want you to be involved in this, and bring you the best possible experience. So yeah, to kind of kick things off, Todd, why don't you kind of take it away?
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm excited to be with you all. I'm grateful for Josh putting these together and inviting me to share some of the things that are new. With that, let's just jump right in. So the first thing I want to talk about is just kind of looking back on this time last year, what was going on, and what we've done this in the year 2025 up till this release that we just finished. Some of the things that didn't exist, it's hard to think that that's true, but we implemented our big AI Insights feature that guides associates, prioritizes who to reach out to, helps them to know what to say. That didn't exist this time last year, so that's really cool that we were able to introduce that to everyone. We've seen some customers increase their kind of overall client outreach 4x in some cases. We've seen people drive tons and tons of revenue. Josh did a big research on that and showed how much money people are making from research. From AI Insights. I think what the research told us, if I'm not wrong, is every time someone clicked send on an AI Insight, it was like $50 or something like that.
It's $40 to $50 basically every time you click a button. So yeah, as a high level overall, like last year we did over $1 million in attributed sales. But yeah, to your point, we kind of broke it down by per click, and every time an associate clicks that button, on average, it's about $50 for
That's
each store.
pretty amazing. Cool. So, another thing that we introduced last year and continue to work on and expand is our brand catalogs and recommendations. So this is where if you're selling Tacori in your store, for instance, as an example, when a Tacori item is purchased, an engagement ring, let's say, we now, regardless of what plan Clientbook package you're on, we nudge the associate 3 months later and give them recommendations of which wedding bands to reach out about. Really excited about this. We've launched with Tacori and a Jaffe, and we have four total brands right now, and signing many more brands to give you access to high quality product images, not the stuff that's in the point of sale, not a picture of something in the case, but really high quality product images to send to your customers. And then these product recommendations that come to sales associates of who to reach out to and when and with what item. So we're really excited about that. And this is something we want, if you're not using right now, we'd love to invite you to use it. So Josh is going to run a poll. Basically, what this poll is to ask, would you want to participate, to have access to the Tacori catalog, to have access to those product recommendations that would be pushed automatically to sales associates? Right now, we're live with Tacori and a Jaffe, but what you'd be saying, raising your hand for, is like, yeah, I'd like this. And as more brands come on, if I carry that brand, I'd love to participate. Anything you want to add on that one?
No, nothing that I want to add. So yeah, we're throwing a poll out there for you folks. So yeah, the first thing, if you want to have any of these, if you want Tacori or a Jaffe enabled for your store, please let us know. With that said too, I did throw a third option in there. If you just want to learn more about this and have your dedicated CSM reach out to you, just to kind of give you a little bit more of like a demo and understanding of how this feature works. Yeah, please fill that out. And I can see a lot of people are filling that out already, which is awesome. So yeah, a couple things that I'll just mention. It's pretty fun to see the reactions we've had so far. We've been reaching out to a lot of our Jaffe clients that currently have this enabled, and so I think simply just having that catalog at their fingertips, right? I was talking with one store the other day, and she was explaining their workflow, their process, and it was basically, well, currently, we go to Jaffe's website, we maybe take a screenshot or download this image, and then we text it to the client. I was like, well, how cool is it now that it's just integrated in one spot? You don't have to go to kind of like a third party place. So
Super cool. Super cool.
yeah.
All right. Continuing our 2024 tour of what we've done and what's come new to Clientbook. We've spent a lot of time focused on your feedback. And so I'm going to hit a few quick bullets. One of the things that people have been requesting a lot is improvements to our notifications, specifically things like browser notifications. So that is live and out for everyone if you're using the web version of Clientbook. We've also enhanced our notification infrastructure to make sure that the notifications are more reliable across web chat and text and all the things. So we're really excited for that. And there's more coming even with notifications, but we've made a big investment this last year on it. A few other usability things. It used to be the case that when you go to message a client, maybe you're collecting a phone number in the moment while they're standing there, you're in your inbox to do it. You used to have to leave the inbox and go to the client section to add the client and then come back to be able to message them. Now you can create a client right from a conversation. You can start a conversation with a client that doesn't exist and create them right as you're messaging them. So super great improvement there. Another thing that we got a lot of feedback on was just how it took too many clicks to get to certain places in the app. And so we've mirrored what is in the mobile app, where it's super clear, 4 sections for associates, just show me my clients, my inbox, the products, the today page. We brought that to web so that for sales associates, they see the same thing across mobile and web. It's one click to get to each of the places. And for admins, we've consolidated things into a more centralized place for you to get quickly to reports, quickly to all of the configuration stuff. So really excited about that. That's live. One of the other things that is not one specific thing, but so many, the last 6 months or so, we've focused on driving our bug count down and making sure that we're more solid, more usable, more reliable. And we've done a lot of things in the background as well to upgrade our servers and our infrastructure that we're excited that you'll probably never see or notice. And that's a good thing because Clientbook can just work and does what it needs to do for you. Okay, so with that said, those are some of the things that didn't exist last year that we worked a lot on. We have been working really hard. We know you worked really hard over the holiday season. We were working to create features that we hope that you'll love, and we just launched them yesterday. Really is kind of when you would have seen them. And so we want to walk you through what's new. Specifically, we're going to do a deep dive on associate assignments, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the other things. So one of the things that we're doing right now, if you put in a phone number that already exists in Clientbook and you give them a different name, we update that for you. We kind of detect it, but we just kind of overwrite what was there. Now we're putting you in the driver's seat to say, hey, did you know that someone is already in here with this phone number? And you can choose, yes, I want to change their name to Jane from June. And so that's really great from a usability standpoint and keeping your data clean. Many of you are already on our new reporting. We've been working on new reporting. It's been in beta for a few months, and we're excited that it's now available for everyone. So new reporting is live for everyone. If you're loving the legacy reports, what we're calling them, the current reports, the old reports, you can still access those, and those will still be there for you to use. And right now, we are working on the associate assignments report is the kind of the last report. That's in beta. If you don't have access to the associate assignments report, associate performance report, raise your hand and we'd love to get that enabled for your account. The associate performance report is really telling you by associate, how many messages have they sent? How many reminders did they complete? Those kinds of things where you can look and see, is this associate contributing to our team and how much? So we're excited to have you enroll in that beta if you aren't already, but new reporting is out for everybody. Now to the meat of this. So associate assignment. Basically, this is going to be the biggest portion of the webinar. So I won't spend much time on this slide, but we fixed associate assignments to where you're way more in control of who auto messages come from, how automations are handled, more control over which conversations you're having with people and how does that relate to assignments. There's all sorts that we're going to go into. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time here. And then the last thing that's part of this release is we're in beta for Google reviews, being able to reply to Google reviews and see them in Clientbook, and also Facebook and Instagram is going to be ready shortly. So we want to introduce you to the beta and have you join that if you're using Facebook and Instagram to contact customers, you're using Google. Obviously, we all are for managing reviews and replying to reviews. So we want to make that available in beta and then roll it out to everyone. With that, I think Josh is going to ask who is interested in that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's of course. So first, kind of kicking things off with Google. One thing that I want to go back here. Sorry, let me hurry and pull up the poll first. Google beta launch. Perfect. So there should be a new poll coming up here. One thing I do want to mention about the Google one specifically, that has been in beta for a little while now. We did that beta, when was that? Like end of November, like December-ish. So we've had that one in beta for a little bit while. So if you want to be part of it, it's come with like great success. And so anyone that does want to be part of this beta, we'll make sure to follow up with you. Thanks for filling out the form, but we will reach out with you shortly about how to set that up. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is basically log into your Clientbook and then through our integrations tab, log into Google and get that taken care of. So I'll keep this open just for a couple more seconds. And great responses. I think a lot of people are pretty excited for that.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Well,
while we're kind of wrapping the poll, the thing I love about this, and I'm sure you know this way better than I do, is when you have to check these different channels and places where customers are trying to reach you, it can be really difficult to manage. And having one place where all the information is coming in, one inbox that people can use to stay on top of Google, stay on top of Facebook and other things, just makes life so much easier. And so we're excited to bring that to Clientbook.
For sure. So going on to the next poll that I just want to ask too, and I always have a meta beta. They're spelled the same way. This is why the English language kind of like is weird to me, because I want to say meta beta, but that doesn't make any sense. So if anyone would want to be part of this beta, like I mentioned though, the Google one's been around for a little bit of while. That one's a little bit more true, tried and tested. But if you do want to be part of our Facebook and Instagram, just know, because it is in beta, we'll definitely be a little bit more hands-on. We would love like your feedback and make sure everything is working properly. In our testing, like what we've done, it's worked just great. But yeah, anyone that wants to be a part of that, we would love to get that enabled for you, and then we'll make sure that you're well aware of how to get it enabled. And just know that my team will be working a little bit more closely with you just to make sure everything is like working properly. But I anticipate it, working great. But
cool. Yeah. Same story here. One inbox for all the channels. We've had great success with this internally, like you said, and we're really excited to make it available to all of you.
Perfect. So I'll just give it about a couple more seconds. Great responses. And then before we move on, I think we had a few. Before we jump into associate assignments, I just want to make sure there were a couple things that come into the Q&A.
Okay.
That's a great question. So I guess the question that did came up, I just want to make sure that there weren't any like underlying questions. Amber, we'll follow up with you. Yeah, there's a lot of very, very like kind of like specific needs, but we'll make sure. I'm going to make note. We would love to kind of keep this more product related, especially when it comes to associate assignments. But whereas yours, I'll make sure that you're in contact with your direct CSM and we can answer those ones a little bit more specifically. So I'm going to mark these ones as done for now. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of questions coming up here into associate assignments. So,
And we'd
I'll let
love to
you
hear
take it
them.
away.
Yeah, we'd love to hear them. We know changes can be difficult to orient ourselves to and to figure out how to take best advantage of them. So, okay, let's talk associate assignments. Basically, with this, we've heard a lot of feedback from many of you. We've interviewed many of you, talked about ways we can improve Clientbook, and associate assignments came up a lot. Some of the things that people were saying were that auto messages were coming from the wrong associate, or it was unclear which associate they were going to come from, and you wanted more control over that. People saying, hey, I have this reminder for a client that I don't think I should be assigned to. You also have a case where someone sends a message to a customer and then they become assigned to that customer and they start seeing reminders for that customer and they're like, what's going on? I just was reaching out about shipping of an item or something, and now I'm getting all these reminders. Along with that, when you have multiple people assigned to associates and they all get a reminder to reach out and see if they want to buy something for their anniversary, it's a little awkward and confusing for the client to get hit up 3 times about the exact same thing from the same store. And it's confusing internally of like, is this mine? Should I do it? Are you going to do it? And so it can cause a lot of confusion when we have multiple people being reminded to reach out to one client. We also got confusion and complaints about mass messages kind of like going out from the wrong person. And so we took all this feedback. We spent a lot of time in design. We worked with many of you to interview you, show you designs, get your feedback, and we're excited about what we rolled out. So let's jump into what has changed. But first, sorry, I forgot I threw this in here. For many of you and for many clients, the vast majority, frankly, there is one client and one associate. And we don't want to gloss over that because, while this is a big problem for a lot of clients, many clients, millions of clients, if you look at the numbers, the vast majority, this won't be an issue for. But in almost every store, there are some clients that have multiple associates. Even if most of your store only has, 1-to-1, inevitably there are multiple associate assignments. And so I just love, one of the things I love about this is just noting that Clientbook is managing over 11 million client profiles. It's really exciting, and we're really humbled and honored that we're able to help you manage these relationships with millions and millions of clients. Okay, so here's what's changing. Associate assignments, basically we're going from this idea of you can have a bunch of people as the primary associate to designating one associate as the primary point of contact for that client. What this mostly affects is automations. So if you set up sales triggers, sales opportunity automations, tag automations, relationship automations, any of the automations, we're going to now steer the things that come out of those automations to this associate. So all auto messages that use like the token, the label, associate name, that will always come from the assigned associate. And when there isn't an associate assigned, it will fall back to a person you designate for every store of who the message should come from if there is no assigned associate. That will clarify a lot of things for clients as well as associates. For sales triggers specifically, there are situations where it's important that the reminder go to the associate who sold the item, regardless of whether they're the assigned associate. And so you have an option to change basically each sales trigger to decide if it triggers a reminder, who do you want that to go to? You want it to go to the person who sold the item or the assigned associate? Most of the time it's going to be the same, but you can configure it the way that you want to. For sales opportunities, reminders that are automated will go to the owner of the sales opportunity. Again, most of the time that's going to be the assigned associate, but sometimes it won't be. And so you can set the owner of the sales op and know that all automated reminders will go to the owner of that sales opportunity. Tag reminders will always go to the assigned associate, and client activities will also always go to the assigned associate. There are certain scenarios where you're creating a reminder manually, or you're creating a sales opportunity, or you're creating a client activity. When any of these happen for a client where you're not the assigned associate, we'll ask you. If you are the assigned associate, then they'll go to you, of course, by default. But if you're on a client where they're not your client, you're not assigned to that client, if you create a reminder for that client, we'll say, hey, you're not the assigned associate. Do you want this reminder to be assigned to you, or do you want it to be assigned to the person who's the assigned associate? Same will go for client activities. Same will go for sales opportunities. So when you are creating things yourself, you're in control of who gets the reminders. So, and then there's some changes to the inbox with this as well. In previous to this release, inbox conversations and associate assignments were kind of the same thing. If you start a conversation, you get assigned. If you get assigned, you know, you're part of the conversation. We're decoupling those now. So if you are assigned to a client, that conversation will automatically show up in your inbox. And anyone that you formerly were assigned to, we added you to those conversations. So you may not be the assigned associate, but if you were having a conversation with that person and it was in your inbox before the release, it's in your inbox after the release as well. So you shouldn't see any change there. In addition to that, automated messages and mass messages will be labeled. So you know that this was an automated message, this was a mass message. So it clears up a lot of like, who did this come from, or how did this message get here? And then I already talked about how assigned clients are automatically in your inbox. The last bullet is that you can now join and leave conversations without it affecting associate assignments. We're not going to change associate assignments when you message people. That's a totally separate thing. So if you have someone in logistics who has a repair ready and they're just putting it in the mail, they can reach out to confirm their address and leave that conversation without it affecting associate assignments at all. No reminders, no other things will carry on, so it keeps it really, really, really clean. Okay, so let's look at what some of this looks like. So these are 3 examples of messages that are in a message thread. The first one is labeled at the very top as a mass message. So you can see that this went out not from an associate, it came from a mass message. Same for the auto messages. Even if you use the associate's name, you'll know that this was an auto message. This wasn't a direct message to the client that was typed by someone. And where someone actually typed it, like the bottom one from Essence, you'll know this was someone who went in and typed a message to this associate. And when you type, you know, it's obviously you that it is typing. So we hope this can clear up, like, who did this come from? How was this triggered? And make the inbox conversation a lot more clear. Couple other things. This is how you leave and join conversations. So one way to join a conversation is just to go to a client and send them a message. You join the conversation. But when you want to leave a conversation, there's a few ways to do it. You can swipe from the list and leave the conversation. You can, from the conversation thread, click at the top right and leave the conversation. And another thing that you can do is if you want to loop someone into a conversation, you can invite them to the conversation. So that's a handy way to get the right people talking at the right time. All right. Another change that was made with this is we want to make associate assignments a lot easier for you to figure out what to do. We didn't want to change things without, you know, you being in control of who is assigned. But for new customers and for all of you who are existing customers, we are able to auto assign clients to the associate that sold them the most over the last 24 months, if you want us to. What this would mean is we would kind of remove the associate assignments. We would look at all of your sales history, and based on who sold the most dollars for a specific client, we can assign that person so that most of the time that's right. And then you can one by one change assignments as you want. This is available for anyone who has a point of sale integration. We're happy to do this. And then as transactions happen, if a client is already assigned to an associate, we won't change it. We won't touch it. If there's a new client that comes in, we will auto assign them to the associate that sold the item if they don't, again, already have an assignment. And just to reiterate, we won't change any associate assignments if they're already set. So if someone sells someone a Rolex and they are the assigned associate, and then the next person sells them, you know, a $300 bracelet, we're not going to switch it to the person who sold the bracelet. It'll stay who the associate was to begin with. So that's a bit of a dump truck of information, but those are kind of the big things that are going on in associate assignment. I'm gonna.
Oh, sorry, before we go on, we have this poll actually.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, before we move on to that, so I'm throwing another poll out there as well. So to what Todd said, yeah, so this launch went out Monday night, right? What's today? Wednesday. So it went out Monday night. With that said, we have this ability, like Todd mentioned, where we can clear out your current associate assignments. And then based on transaction history, we look at the last 2 years and basically say, Todd should be assigned to Aaron because Aaron sold the most to him within this 2 year period. So if you want us to do that for you, go ahead and select yes. If you don't, that's fine. We'll just kind of leave it as is. But with that said, if down the line you want any changes or any help with associate assignments, that's what my team is for. That's what our support team is here for, just to make sure. And then I threw in that third question as well. Again, if you want to learn more and just schedule some time with your CSM just to really understand what these changes kind of mean and what we can do to assist you, we have that option as well. So we'll give it another, 5 seconds or so if you want to answer this poll, and then we can kind of move into frequently asked questions. I hope these frequently asked questions kind of answer a lot of your questions, and then we'll kind of dive into, I see a lot of questions coming in the poll. So I'm
excited to talk about it. Okay, cool. So these were some of the things that we felt, I mean, these were actually things that people have asked us, as well as things that we thought of that we felt like would be helpful to know about. So one of the things that people worry about is, how will this affect the inbox? What about all my open conversations with people? If you were in a conversation with a client before this release, if it was anywhere in your list of, in your My Inbox, those should all be preserved. Regardless of whether you're assigned to that person, we moved anyone who was having a conversation, we preserved it in this release. So those should all be there for you to look at. For the people that you aren't assigned to, you can leave that conversation and you don't have to have it in your inbox anymore. But we didn't want to pull out the rug for you. So any conversation you were having is still there. Another one that I had a conversation with someone about was, hey, this sounds great for stores that have clients that are owned by, associates. What if we don't operate that way? We don't have a one-to-one between clients and salespeople. How do we operate? The good news here is that really all this does is it gives you clarity on who's responsible for which things. It gives you more control over who's responsible for which things. So rather than having an automated reminder go out to 5 people, you can choose. Should this go to the person who sold the item? Great. Keep going that way, because that's more of a, many to many, like if I helped you with this item, I'll get the reminder about it. Another example is sales opportunities. Anyone can create a sales opportunity for any client, regardless of whether you're assigned to them. You can still go in and say, they walked in and they were interested in buying an engagement ring. And so I can create a sales opportunity. It will ask me, like, do you want to be the one to get these reminders? Yes, I do. That's me. Same for manual reminders, same for client activities. So all of these things can be done on top of the inbox, where you can message anyone you want. You can have a conversation, you can send them things. So really, this doesn't hamper your ability to work in fluid between clients and associates. But what it does is give you control to choose if you don't want to do it that way. So hopefully that answers that one a little bit. We can go deeper there if people have questions. Another thing you might be wondering, well, what if the associate's wrong? How do I get it fixed? You are totally in control. So if an associate assignment is set, without your permission, we're not going to move anything. But you can choose, like, if it's wrong, you can change it. If you'd rather do it by sales history, like Josh mentioned, we're happy to do a mass change, but really you are in control. So if something's wrong, you can just change it. And if you want to change a bunch, reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you move people. Will assignments change as the client makes purchases? We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. The quick answer is no. Once an associate assignment is set, only you can change it unless you ask us to change it. We're not going to swap it automatically as purchases happen. What happens to, the question is, will these changes affect existing automations? Do I need to change anything? Do I need to do anything? The short answer on this is also no. Anywhere where, like sales triggers I mentioned earlier, where you can set reminders to go to the person who sold the item or the assigned associate, by default, all of the automations will be set to assigned associate. But if you want to change any of those things, or if you want to talk with your customer success manager and kind of strategize how you want it set up, we're happy to help you. But you don't need to do anything. Everything should continue to work as is. Someone asked about repeating messages and reminders. A classic example is like a clean and check. Reminder to reach out to come into the store and have your item cleaned. What we will do in those situations is we will deduplicate them and we'll just use the original one, and you'll continue to get that one to the same person over and over as purchases happen. If that ends up being kind of not the right person, you can change the sales associate and configure that and start getting them to go to the right people. So, okay, those are some of the things that we've heard already, some of the things that we've thought of. We'd love to hear your questions. So with that, maybe Josh, if you've been watching the chat, we can take a look.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get rid of this for a second, so that way you can just look at our faces. We want to be more connected. Anyway.
Love it.
So the first question that kind of came up was, with the brand catalogs, could it be other designers or brands?
Short answer there is yes, absolutely. We want to have as many as you carry. The ones that matter to you, we want to carry. We have agreements with Takori, A. Jaffe, Simon G, and Gabriel, and we're at different stages of rollout with them. We're having conversations with many other brands. So if there are brands that you really, really want, we want to hear about it. But more importantly, we want you to reach out to them about it. So if you carry, let's say, Veragio, and you would like that brand catalog, reach out to Veragio and CC us or something, because we're actively trying to get these relationships and these integrations done. So short answer is, sky's the limit. We'd love to have the brands that you care about.
Perfect. One question from Carrie was, how many clients have 0 associates assigned?
I think that's referencing my graph. I didn't include that in the graph, but there are many clients that are unassigned, and I don't have the answer at hand. So I'm not sure what to say exactly, but if there's a question about how do we get those assigned, or how can we reduce that number, I'll address that. Maybe I'll assume maybe that was the reason, and then you can clarify in the chat. One of the best ways to do this is to run that assignments by sales history job, because it will go through, and if they are unassigned but items were sold, it can get it to the associate that sold the item the most dollar amount. So that's one way to do it. We're happy to help anyone who's concerned. Maybe I have a lot of unassigned clients. We're happy to do bulk assignment for you, chat with you about how to solve that, but I'm kind of guessing at what the question was, but
yeah. And then one of the questions too that kind of came up is, basically, are we able to pull a report for our specific store to see if we have multiple assigned associates? The simple answer is yes. You can export your client list, and in that CSV file, it'll tell you which associates are assigned to who.
Yeah. And if you're concerned, because with this release, we actually moved everyone to one assigned associate, but we have access to all of the historical on who had multiples. So if you're wanting to get that, I think I ran it for about 40 clients before the release, and happy to run that for anyone who wants it and hash out who it should go to.
Yep. And then Christina came in and asked too, it's just like, so how do we assign an associate through the store for the associate that sold them? I'll definitely take note of that, and we'll have your CSM reach out to you. But effectively, as an admin, when you go into your store settings underneath, say, sales triggers, for example, you'll be prompted and it will tell you, it's like, hey, you're going to set up like a common one is like a 6-month cleaning check reminder, or maybe like a 3-month check in on new inventory, right? And it'll prompt you within each of those different, like, so sales trigger will have a place where it'll be prompted to tell you who you want to assign to.
You can even do it like one reminder should go to the assigned associate and another reminder should go to the person who sold the item. So hey, yeah, happy to walk you through that, but it's in the sales trigger setup.
So when sending a mass message, what associate will it come from? Can we make sure that only one message goes to each phone number?
So let's break that down. So how do I determine who it comes from? So with mass messages, we all know this, but the actual text is coming from the store number. So it doesn't come from a specific associate, but in the message, you can use a placeholder for the associate name, and that will always be the assigned associate. When they're unassigned, let's say a client gets a message and they're unassigned, it will fall back to the person you set up on the store settings, usually the manager of the store or the owner of the store. So that's how that will work. The second question of can we make sure only one message goes to each phone number? There is work that we're doing. I kind of demoed it a little bit earlier on helping you to remove duplicates and prompting you when a number already exists in Clientbook. I'm happy to go deeper on this one if there's a specific issue happening with duplicates. But we key off of email and phone number as being kind of unique for clients. So hopefully this is minimized, but happy to go deeper if you want on that question.
But to kind of go along, I just want to reiterate what kind of like Todd said too, but this is the reason why we made this change, is because we got a lot of feedback. A mass message would send out if there's 3 or 4 assigned associates. We always did our best to choose who that message like would come from, but we get a lot of feedback be like, well, we sent out this mass message, like, why did it come from Judy, or why did it come from Todd?
Totally.
And there wasn't real like a solid answer. But now moving forward, we can comfortably just say, it's like, if you come to us or ask like, hey, why did this mass message or why did this automated message come from Todd? The simple answer is, well, Todd is the assigned associate. We just want to make it as simple as possible.
Yep. And if that came from the wrong person, change the assigned associate and that won't happen anymore.
Yeah. So the next question that came in from Melissa is like, is this manual action going to the admin or each associate? If I'm understanding your question correctly, I mean, so these actions, right? So if you're setting up a sales trigger for a post-sale follow-up, it's typically going to go to either the assigned associate or whoever rung up that sale, right? So you'll get to choose. So these manual actions of like reaching out to clients aren't going to the admins. It's going to go to the assigned associate usually.
Let me try a different angle on that answer. I think that's correct. This might be asking with the manual action is if I go manually create a reminder, or I manually log a client activity, or I manually create a sales op, we showed you that pop-up. And if that's what you're asking about, that would be for the person who's logged in. So as an admin or manager, you may be going in there to create a reminder for one of your associates or create a sales op for one of your associates. But it's really whoever is logged in and creating that thing that would get asked that question of who it should go to.
Perfect. This question came in from Tim. Is there or will there be new training videos on Clientbook for my staff to view and learn about the criteria being covered today? That's a great question. So I'll say that this recording is going to be shared with anyone that registered, so you can share this information with your team. We'll get that sent to you no later than end of day tomorrow. B, this isn't part of your question, but I am excited to announce. So my team has been working really hard to update the training videos in general. They're in very much need of some TLC. And so we've been working hard. So here in the near future, you'll actually see updated training videos just in general within the application or in the dashboard. But to answer this kind of question specifically, we spend a lot of time creating like knowledge-based articles, videos, different things of that nature. So we'll make sure in our follow-up communication to link those knowledge-based articles so you and your team can read up on all these details, watch the videos, and then if you have any follow-up questions, more than happy to like reach out to us. But to answer your question, yes, we have a considerable amount of like knowledge-based articles specifically about these changes, just to make sure you and the rest of the team are very aware of what's going on.
Cool.
If one person does the special order and another does the pickup, then who gets assigned to it? Good question. So usually in my experience, usually what happens, well, in this case, right, let's say I come into the store to do a special order. In my experience, that's usually input into the Edge or whatever point of sale system that you're using. And that immediately gets pulled over into Clientbook, and it usually shows up underneath the sales log. So whoever inputs it in first would be the one that in this hypothetical sense would get assigned to them. But again, if I come into the store, I'm already assigned to Todd. He's my go-to guy. I come in, I place a special order, and I do that special order with Megan. I don't automatically get reassigned to Megan. I'll still stay assigned to Todd. And then again, with those automations, you can pick and choose. Well, do I want these reminders to be assigned to Megan, who rung up the special order, or do I want those reminders still going to Todd because he's the go-to person, right? So you get a little bit more of that flexibility. But to answer the question simply is, if a client is assigned to an associate, that associate will not get unassigned to them automatically. It always has to be done manually.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah,
Or
I think that's great.
cool.
These are awesome questions.
Yeah. If you are the associate who adds them into Clientbook, but they have yet to purchase, will they still be assigned to the associate who entered them in?
I'm so glad you asked. This is one I didn't cover. So very good question. Yes, is the short answer. So if you put in a client, they walk in, this person's brand new to your store, you enter them into Clientbook and they aren't already assigned, you become the assigned associate automatically. It's similar to the point of sale integration. If there isn't already an assignment, the person who rang them up will become the assigned associate. But if one exists in either of these scenarios, we won't change it.
Yep.
So yes is the answer to your question. You will be assigned.
Then the next question that kind of came in was for multi-store locations. So how does this work with a company with multi-locations and that customer shops at different locations?
Yeah, I think this is where the sales trigger configuration comes in super important. It's up to you, really. So if you want to orient your multi-store operation to say, I want to make sure that the person who sold the item is the person following up with the reminder, just select that option for your sales trigger. If you want it to be, no, like they may shop around, but there's still a person responsible, then choose the other option. And you can also mix them. So let me give you an example. So maybe one of your reminders says, reach out with a Google review link. Well, that's store specific. So we want to make sure that that is tied to the person who sold the item. But you might also have a follow-up in 6 months to see how the purchase is. You may choose to say, I want my assigned associate to be the one doing that follow-up. The person who rang them up was great for the in the moment, but for later on, I want it to be the assigned associate. You can do that too. So you can do all of it by sold, all of it by assigned, and you can kind of mix and match depending on how you want your customer experience to be.
Perfect. So next question that came in was specifically about notifications and web chat notifications. So the broad question was, who gets notified when a new customer message comes in from web chat?
Yep. So this is basically organized by managers and admins. So they will be in the store inbox, but the notification will go to just the managers and admins.
Mm-hmm. With that, I don't know if we want to answer this like separately as well, but there is a great feature suggestion. I think your suggestion is it should go to everyone. So if I'm understanding your question correctly too, is, you know, if I'm an associate at your store, I can't be set up to receive web chat notifications. I at least have to have that manager permission, but we'd love to maybe connect with you. We could talk a little bit about more in depth of what that could look like. But
and I think it's a great idea. It's something that we have heard in the past, and would love to take a look at it.
Yeah. Then the next question that came in was like, so will there be no store inbox anymore?
Awesome question. Yeah.
Yeah, you can answer it. It's just
I'm so glad, because this one I didn't even think to bring up, but it's totally a reasonable question. Yes, there will be a store inbox. So you'll still have people that message you in, you don't know who they are. And you want to look at everyone who's messaged. Really none of that has changed. Your my inbox is conversations with your assigned clients, as well as just conversations you're having. Store inbox is basically unchanged. Store inbox will continue to work as is.
Yep. One question that came in is, where do we see these assignments? So a couple ways you could, like I mentioned, within the clients tab, you can export your client list if you rather look at it from like a Excel or CSV. Look at it that way. And more specifically, though, when you go into any client's profile, whether it's in the app or in the dashboard, and look at those client details, it'll tell you who the assigned associate is there.
Cool.
So question about Google review, is there a way to disable the reminder if we know they've already left us a review?
So
yeah.
this will come in as a notification for Google reviews. There's no automated reminders around Google reviews right now. So if you know you've already responded, or they've already left you a review, you can just view it, ignore it, whatever you want there. Another clarification here is that when you enable this integration, we aren't going to pull in all your 100 previous Google reviews. This is more about responding to the Google reviews as they come in. And so from the moment you enable the integration, you'll start seeing them come in. So you won't get a bunch of old ones that are already done. You'll only get ones that are new.
Perfect. Tyler was asking, what about watch brands?
I love this question. Tyler, please introduce us to all your watch brands. We have some conversations started. We would love to do watch brands. So I'll actually make a note to follow up with you, and anyone else who has watch brands, we would love to service you there.
Yeah, I guess with that said, in the broader context, like Todd mentioned, we've had a lot of conversations with a lot of brands up until this point. Some a little bit closer to actually launching than others, right? But with that said, if there's any type of brands that you carry that you're like, I absolutely like need this, or I'd love this, like within Clientbook, please reach out to us. A, chances are we've already like talked with them, but B, like just getting that feedback can really help us, move this program along. So.
Yep.
So one question, we are a small company with only 3 associates. We do not want to assign anything to anyone. Is that possible?
Short answer is yes. I think that it will take a little bit of effort, because we believe that, these relationships that you nurture, you're right, the smaller a group, the less confusing it is, but relationships still matter there. If you're integrated, there are certain options. If you are not integrated with a point of sale, there are other options. The short answer is you can always unassign anybody you want. And so that might be a little bit more labor, but also remember that associate assignments really mostly affect automation. And so you may want the benefit of that, even if it's not how you operate, but just even if a person sold the item, send the reminder to them. That could be helpful. But we can work with you one-on-one if you want to turn off certain things or know how to unassign people.
Yep. One question kind of came in too. So other than most sales over the past 24 months, what other criteria can be used to bulk assign clients?
From an automation, like from a intelligent figuring it out standpoint, that's what we heard the most. We talked with I want to say like 20 or so companies about how different ways to do it. This was the most popular and the most clear of who would be that. We can increase that window if you want. The data becomes less and less reliable the further you go back, but it could be 2 years. Maybe we talk to you and we do it 3 years. Maybe we do it 6 months. And also very open to chatting with you. If you send us a list of assignments, we're happy to upload them for you. If you want to work with us on something, we're happy to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the one thing I was just going to mention is that my team and my support team, we have access to also kind of do manual assignments. So yeah, if you were to export, a client list from your point of sale and say, hey, we want these clients assigned to these associates, and you send to us, we more than happy to oblige and kind of take care of that for you too. So happy to work with you. And if there's anything that you want specifically, yeah, we can work with you on a one-on-one basis for sure. One question that kind of came in. So when does a conversation go to closed chat?
Yeah. I didn't mention this at all, mostly because it hasn't changed that much. So you can intentionally close a conversation by clicking close. You can do send and close. As you send it, it will close. All of that is the same and will work the same. If a customer message is in, it will open the conversation. And if you're part of that conversation, you'll see it. If you've left the conversation, you won't see it. But closed is kind of a separate but similar idea. And we didn't change it.
Perfect. Another question. We've had a lot of questions. This is actually probably.
I love it. I'm so excited. Yeah.
So if a client is unassigned, how does the message pop up for them? Does it say the business name or auto? Well, to kind of answer that question is, so yeah, so let's say an auto message or a mass message, any type of message goes out and it's unassigned, right? If within the text message field itself, you input like the associate name, the store default is to whoever you set it to, right? So I'm a store owner, and in my store settings, I set any unassigned messages to come from Todd. That would mean if a message goes out and they're unassigned, it would say, hey, Aaron, this is Todd over at Cedar Jewelers, right? Wherever it's coming from. And so it's based on whatever setting you have set up on the back end for unassigned messages. And with that said, when they receive it, if we're hosting your store number, it's just coming from your store. But besides that, like unless the message itself, if it's just a generic message that says, hi, Josh, your repair is ready for pickup, it doesn't really matter who it comes from because it's all coming from the same number and it's not calling out the associate name. So in those instances, unless it actually says it's coming from an associate within the text field, it's just coming from either your store number or the Clientbook centralized number.
Let me add one more point here. I think that was really well said. In Clientbook, you have more details than the customer has. On the customer's end, there is no label of auto message or mass message or Josh even. It's just coming from the number, as you said. But in Clientbook, we want to give you more visibility into where this came from. The clients themselves don't know that it was an auto message or a mass message or who it came from unless you embed that person's name in the message itself.
Yep. This question is really easy to answer. So does Clientbook have a website widget for a text function, or is it planned? Yes, we've had this functionality for a while now. So Jeff, we'll make sure we'll reach out to you. It's pretty simple. We can provide you with the code or show you where you can customize it. You can change the color, change the image. It's really cute, but yeah, we have that functionality.
Awesome.
When does the official launch of updates take place? It already has.
Now
it's done.
It's done. Yeah.
That went out Monday night. Yeah. So one question from an anonymous attendee was, do you have plans for more robust reporting around tags? So yeah, you're kind of hitting the nail on the head. So we use tags for Rolex watches, right? They're looking for it, automatic reminders, which is now a requirement for Rolex stores. Is there a report we can easily run in the update to track if this is happening? Well,
so we do have a lot of experience with this. I'll just say it that way because we help a lot of Rolex dealers. So we can help you know how to do this in the current functionality. We're also having a lot of conversations with Rolex authorized dealers about what's possible here. So feel free to unanonymize yourself, maybe reach out to Josh or myself. We'd love to chat with you more about some of our ideas around Rolex. But the answer for now is we've done it a lot. We can show you how other customers do it. And we're looking at ways to improve it.
Yep. There's a lot of good feature suggestions as well. So I'm going to kind of gloss over. I want to be respectful of time. We're kind of coming up onto the hour. But one question that kind of came through, do we as the admins have to change the assigned associate? can the sales staff change who the assigned associate is?
We debated this one a lot, and where we landed on it right now is to leave it with managers and admins. Now, if there's an unassigned client, someone could assign themselves to it. And if I'm assigned to a client, I can unassign myself. But there has been a lot of concern around stealing clients. And so we wanted to be careful there. So right now, you can't swap if you're an associate. You have to get some help.
Tyler brought up a concern about push notifications, being the admin for the store. We'll follow up with you about that. Who does the cleanup on customers that are assigned to multiple associates? Oh, so we've already done that.
Yeah, we took a pass at it. We knew who the multiples were, and we tried to find that first associate. Again, not like, I don't know, 80-90% only have one. So, and then the next set is they had two, so maybe 50% of the time we were right or wrong. But we are happy to work with you to either do it by sales history or help you set them the way you want to. But we tried to choose the oldest one as the default.
Yeah. So this kind of question. So where does the message show the customer who on staff is texting them? Wouldn't it just show the text from whoever's name is saved on the phone number on their phone, i.e. the store?
Yeah, exactly. So you can't control, what they saved your number as on their phone. So it'll come up with whatever they saved it as. And unless you embed your name in the message, there is no indicator. It's just a phone number of where it came from.
Yep. This kind of will you be sharing data from Clientbook, including insights on brands, customer interest, point of sale, sales, social media engagement, and other reports that can help retailers manage and optimize their business?
Yes, I think that we can do better here, and we'd love to partner with you, especially around brands. Brands is fairly new. We would love to help you know how well a specific brand is doing in your store. We don't really do that very well right now, but we have tons of robust sales attribution, a lot of ways to slice and dice it. So there's a ton already that you can take advantage of in this new reporting, and happy to chat with you with more detail. We're really close to time.
Yeah, really close to time. So a lot of really good questions. So I guess this last one, this is a follow-up question. You said it will not reassign on a new sale. It will go back to who it was assigned to, right? Yeah. So again, if Josh is assigned to Todd and then I make another purchase, I'll still remain assigned to Todd.
Yeah.
If we switch to the reassign auto to pick the most in the past 24 months, then will it do it automatically if a new person has sold more than the assigned associate in the past 24 months?
No, it's kind of a snapshot, a moment in time. But, if you want to run that every January, we could do that, or twice a year or whatever. We're happy to help you there, but it is a moment in time kind of fix my assignments once job.
Perfect. Yeah, no, there's a lot of really good questions here. So, I mean, I see some questions like coming from Zach or whatever. We are at time right now. So yeah, first of all, thank you so much for your questions. Like I said, this is the most engaged we've had in a webinar. So thank you so much for your active participation. I would love to, what I'll do is we have all these questions here. I will make sure to get this to your dedicated CSM and we'll follow up on some of these items. And as far as the recording for the webinar, like I mentioned, you should expect it by end of day tomorrow. So just be on the lookout for that. But again, thank you so much for participating with us. And we look forward to our next webinar. Just kind of an insight as well. We're going to have more structured webinars moving forward. So Todd, our product team, is going to be joining us at the beginning of each quarter. So you can expect to see another product webinar with Todd come April, which will be exciting because again, we'll reflect on what we've done in Q1 and kind of what's coming up in like Q2. So thank you again so much for your participation. We have a lot of follow-up items with each of you. So thank you again, and can't wait to see you guys thrive and succeed in 2025. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.